Folks, I'm going to talk about the enemy you didn't expect and then get into the latest home prices and insights for condos across the GTA for week ending October the 8th, 2025. If you want to speak directly with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video, in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. You know, if you were selling your condo, and I'm specifically referring to brand new condos. So you recently closed and now you want to sell your condo. And never mind the fact that you're most likely selling it at a loss, although it's a big factor. A big enemy that you had to, as a seller, really be conscious about and think about, oh, I hope this doesn't happen, is another unit in the building undercutting you. And let's face it, in any of these newer buildings, there's multiple units for sale. Many of them may be just like yours or very similar to yours. And if you're selling, there could be a desperate seller in that building ready to just let it go at whatever price. And then that sets a new benchmark for the building and you're in trouble. Well, up until recently, that was your biggest enemy, another seller that was desperate. Well, what we've seen starting to happen now is the builder actually being a new enemy you got to pay attention to. Now, in the past, in recent history, if a builder on presentation day there sold units, say at $1,200 a square foot, the building gets built 5 years later, the builder has inventory that wasn't sold, it was pretty common knowledge that there's no way the builder is going to undercut the homeowners that purchased that $1,200 a square foot. And many times the builder's goal and plan was actually to now sell it for more at $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 a square foot. And that suited the sellers that were closing and selling. That suited the sellers really well because they've got their unit advertised at a little bit more than what they paid for. And the builder would have some units advertised for even more, which was helping to keep values up. All that has changed. We've seen, and it's public knowledge now, that some builders are putting their inventory, unsold inventory, on the market for less than what the original buyers purchased for 4, 5, 6 years ago. Think about that. You bought it at $1,200 a square foot. And I'm just picking a number out of the blue here, but a fairly realistic number. You purchased that $1,200 a square foot and you've closed and you don't want your condo and you put it on the market. And you're putting it on the market at $1,000 a square foot because the market has changed. You're not getting $1,200 a square foot anymore. You maybe are going to get $1,000 a square foot. Maybe you're going to get $900 a square foot. Some situations, maybe you're going to get $800 a square foot. You paid $1,200 a square foot. You're selling it for $8 or $9 right now per square foot. It's not only the desperate other sellers in the building you got to watch out for. Now, the builder, the company you bought it from, has the same unit at $700 a square foot, less than what you have it for. How do you compete with the builder? Builders are seeing their inventory putting pressure on them now. They need to liquidate. They've got to get rid of these units. And they have the budget to just let them go. And we've seen this once or twice. And I don't think it's a stretch to think we're going to see it more and more. It never used to be the case. We're seeing that now more and more. And this is the newest enemy there on the block. The person you bought from, or I should say the company you bought from, the builder, that person can undercut you later. If you feel this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. And if you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. Now, let's get into the numbers. Here we go, folks. Condos, that's what we're talking about. Condos, apartments for the GTA. We are breaking condos down into 3 areas. We're going to be focused on data for the city of Toronto, for York region, and for Peel region. Now, these are average sold prices for 3 months. For week ending October the 8th, the difference between the Peel region average sold price and the city of Toronto average sold price, so the low and the high, is $152,000. For some people, buying in one area because of budget might mean they need to buy in a different area. We're going to start off with the city of Toronto for week ending October the 8th. 181 condo apartments were sold in the city of Toronto. Sales, especially over this fall period, look like they're climbing. Not by much, but they're climbing. So sales are trending upwards. 16 of those out of the 181 sold at $1 million or more. Average sold price, I would say, is a bit more steady. It's currently sitting at $661,000. And when we look at this, I drew a line straight across there. And if we kind of go back to the middle of, say, the beginning of July, prices were hovering around 161. Then they jumped up for a few weeks, but now we're back to 661,000. 661 is 9% lower than the same week a year ago. The median price of 563 is 11% lower than the same week a year ago. The dotted line, that's a 4-week moving average. And there really, over 3 months, hasn't been that much change. Now, the 4-week moving average averages out prices over every 4 weeks. It basically averages out the prices. And with those higher sales here, it kind of brings the median price up a little bit, or the 4-week moving average. It's tough to say. It doesn't look like there's been a lot of change in price over the last several months when it comes to condo apartments. 181 were sold. 30 of those, so 17%, sold at list price or more. Listings were trending down, but this current week we've seen more listings than the previous week, so they did jump up for this 1 week. 5,606 are available for sale. That's how many condos are sitting out there. And based on what we've sold, basically we're saying 3.2% of all condos available for sale actually sold. The detached market for the city of Toronto, 6% every week are selling. For condos, it's half, 3.2% actually sold. Months of inventory, if we go beginning of September, we look where we are now, months of inventory is dropping. So active listings not really changing much, sales increasing a bit, and that's why you see months of inventory dropping slowly. We're currently at 7.1 months of inventory. So here's the city broken down into 9 different sections. So downtown, 54 condos were sold. Active listings downtown, there's almost 1,800 available for sale, which represents 32% of all condos currently for sale across the whole city of Toronto. Scarborough, 28 were sold. There's 682 available for sale. Uptown, 20 sold. There's 777 available for sale. Midtown, 24 sold. That's out of 703 available for sale. So there's lots of choices out there, folks. If we look at Etobicoke, 26 sold, but there's 609 available for sale. Let's look at 1-bedroom condos versus 2-bedroom condos. I should say The 1-bedroom includes 1-bedroom plus den, and the 2-bedroom condos include the 2 bedrooms plus den. So 1-bedroom for week ending October the 8th, 84 1-bedroom condos were sold. I would say this fall market sales are trending upwards overall. Average sold price, I would say, has been trending down, not aggressively, but for the course of the year. We're currently now sitting at $525,000 as the average sold price for a 1-bedroom or a 1-bedroom plus den condo apartment in the city of Toronto. $525,000 is 10% lower than the same price a year ago. Here's the 2-bedroom condos. Sales also trending up. 82 2-bedroom condos were sold. Average sold price is $816,000. $816,000 is 1% higher than the same week a year ago. Here's a comparison between both. So sales, the orange, that's 1-bedroom. The blue, that's 2-bedroom. Sales are pretty similar week in and week out. Average sold price, not so similar. $525,000 for the 1-bedroom, $816,000 for the 2-bedroom. It's almost a $300,000 difference in average sold price. It's $291,000 to be exact, the difference in average sold price. Let's look at it from a point of view of square footage. When we look at the ranges of square footage per the MLS, and we look where the biggest sales are, most weeks, the most amount of sales are in the 600 to 699 square foot range. This week, it's a tie for 6 to 699 and 8 to 899. And then right in between those, 7 to 799, there's 27. So it's pretty close. So between 600 and 899 is where the majority of the sales are. And when we look at those cost per square footage, you're ranging from 714 to 888. There is nothing close to averaging out to $1,000 a square foot. For sure, there's sales where you look at certain buildings in certain neighborhoods that are selling for more than $1,000 a square foot. But when we average it out and we talk about the whole city of Toronto, nothing comes close to averaging 1,000 square foot or more. Here's York Region condos. Sales trending down. 31 condo apartments were sold for week ending October the 8th. 2 of those sold at $1 million or more. Average sold price overall trending down. It is up a bit from the previous week, but overall trending down. Currently it's sitting at $611,000. $611 is 12% lower than the same week a year ago. The median price of $565,000 is 14% lower than the same week a year ago. And when we look at the dotted line, the 4-week moving average price shows that it's trending down. The median price is a bit more flat. 31 were sold, 5 of those, so 16% sold at list price or more. Listings are trending down. There's 1,071 active condo apartments available for sale in York Region. Based on the current sales, 2.9% of all condos available for sale actually sold. And months of inventory, pretty high, sitting at 8 months of inventory. Here's Peel Region. Sales did jump up from the previous week. 33 condos were sold in Peel Region, but sales were trending down before that. So they did jump up for this week. And when we say 33, when we look at the whole year, 33 is a pretty good week for Peel Region. And let me just say further, when I talk about Peel Region, the majority of these condos are being bought and sold in Mississauga. Average sold price way down from the previous week. It's come down to $509,000. I would say average sold price overall has been trending down. $509,000 is 9% lower than the same week a year ago. The median price of 505 is 3% lower. 33 were sold. 9 of those, so 27%, sold at list price or more. Listings are trending down. There's 1,040 available condos for sale across Peel region, and months of inventory sitting at 7.3 months of inventory. Here's a summary. Pretty much a buyer's market. Now, one thing I didn't mention was the 1-bedroom and the 2-bedroom condos in the city of Toronto. Months of inventory for the 1-bedroom, 6.5. Months of inventory for the 2 bedrooms is 7.2. There is a difference. It's not a huge difference. When we talk about the detached market, there's a big difference between 3-bedroom months of inventory and 4-bedroom months of inventory. Speaking about condo apartments, not such a big difference between 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom as far as months of inventory goes. But pretty much a buyer's market. It's not a buyer's market like it was before, where we were hovering 9, 10, 11 months of inventory, but it's still a buyer's market there. There's lots of choices. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.